Good morning. It's very loud in here. It's a good thing everybody has a lot of energy. I want to welcome you to worship this morning, and please stand and sing with us.
Till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul, from the day you saved my soul, till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul.
Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
You can bring your offering forward during this next song.
You are not alone if you are lonely. When you feel afraid, you're not the only. We are all the same, in need of mercy, to be forgiven and be free. It's all you got to be. people said amen. If you're rich or poor, well, it don't matter. We go strong, you know, love is what we're after. But we're all in this together. God knows we stumble and fall. And He so loved the world, He sent His Son to save us all. And all the people said amen. Oh, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for His love never ends. And all the people said amen. Blessed are the poor in spirit, who are torn apart. Blessed are the persecuted and the pure in heart. Blessed are the people hungry for another sign. For theirs is the kingdom of God. And all the people said amen. Oh, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for His love never ends. And all the people said amen. And all the people said amen. Oh, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for His love never ends. And all the people said amen. And all the people said amen.
Great is the Lord, and most worthy of praise. His greatness no one can fathom. One generation commends your works to another. They tell of your mighty acts. They speak of the glorious splendor of your majesty, and I will meditate on your wonderful works. They tell of the power of your awesome works, and I will proclaim your great deeds. They celebrate your abundant goodness and sing joyfully of your righteousness.
You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. And great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. And great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Holy, 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 our God is on the throne. So firm is his foundation, no power can overthrow. And he shall reign forever and ever. One name outlasts the ages, through time His truth revealed. While kings may pass like shadows, our God is sovereign still, and He shall reign forever and ever. And He shall reign forever and ever. To the Lamb upon the throne, hallelujah, hallelujah. To the Lord forevermore. Hallelujah, hallelujah, the day I stand before Him, what praise will fill my soul? And there behold His glory shall reign forever and ever.
You can be seated.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I think everybody knows who I am. I hope, maybe. So this morning is going to be a little different. I'm going to have your traditional message that we typically bring on Sunday. Today we're going to talk about pre-Advent, which is kind of leading up to Advent. Also, I'll kind of reflect on our meeting that we had last week here at Huber for, thank you, Larry, for our annual Mennonite Disaster Service meeting that we had here for Western Ohio Region 2. Thank you for those who actually helped get that going and prepared for us. It worked out really well. So, last Saturday, we hosted, again, the annual meeting here at Huber. One of the reasons why is because of the ongoing tornado recovery for Dayton, which hopefully most of the people know what that is, but I'll explain some of that here in a second. So we got to hear about the ongoing volunteer efforts and the rebuilding of the Memorial Day tornadoes of 2019. So we got to listen to a guy named Adam Blake, who is a vice president of the County Corps. He's in charge of helping the displaced renters and homeowners who lost pretty much everything during the 2019 tornadoes. And for those of you who don't have a daily reminder of what that day was, there's still a lot of visible markers left behind from that tornado. I know a lot of us live up here north. I happen to live in the path of that. So you guys may not even see the rebuilding process that's going on in different locations. For my family and I, it's a constant reminder of all the damage and stuff still left behind. Trees are still gone. That will take probably 40, 50 years to come back. So just kind of rehash on that event. So on Monday, May 27th, 2019, we had an EF2 tornado touchdown in Brookville, which is the next county over, which quickly grew into an EF4. So that tornado actually cut a path through Clayton, which is the primary location where it started, then Trotwood, then Harrison Township, Old North Dayton, Northridge, and then it finally ended up in Beaver Creek. So during a 45-minute period, there's over 1,000 people who were displaced within seconds. So we were one of the fortunate people who were not displaced, but we had some minor inconveniences, I would call it, compared to some of the others. So within seconds, 6,000 homes, apartments, and buildings were damaged. 1,250 of them were heavily damaged or destroyed during that 20-mile path across 3 counties. And it didn't care where you lived at. The tornado didn't have any, like, I'm going to pick this house, pick that house. It just cut a path. So for those who volunteered shortly after, you was seeing the destruction from that. So, however, unfortunately, some of the damage was mostly disproportionate to the lower income areas, which is mainly the more higher populated areas. Trotwood, Harrison Township again, Old North Dayton, which is just on the other side of me where I live. If you still go through there, there's still homes wrapped in tarps. Some are just still in disrepair. Some haven't even been touched for cleanup yet. So again, my house was in the impact path of the tornado that night. Very frightening. So it was pretty much a lifelong nightmare that actually came true that night. So my fears quickly turned into prayers that night. I think I've never prayed any harder before. So thankfully for myself and my neighbors, we were all spared. Thanks to God for that. But for some in the path of the tornado, they were not as fortunate as I were. Thankfully, there was no deaths in my path of the tornado. but there's a lot of stories where a lot of people very, very lucky to be out. And as you drive through our area, there's apartments that are completely wiped out because of the tornado within a matter of seconds. So the next day after the tornado, a lot of you guys here and ladies came to help clean up our neighborhood, which was a big blessing. But within a couple of days, I was in contact with Lawrence Matthews, who is he's head of the Mennonite Disaster Services. He's from Bluffton. He reached out to Wendell Slagle, to see if there's any assistance needed in the path of the tornado, which I happen to live there. So I was pretty much the epicenter of everything that's going on because of my location and this connection to Huber here. So that became the chain of events for why I'm here today, because now, since Bill Sutton stepped back as a church contact person for Mennonite Disaster Service, I'm kind of indirectly in charge of that now because of my connection with Lawrence, which has kind of been a cool thing for me to kind of step out of my comfort a little bit. And because of that, I've had kind of an ongoing relationship with Lawrence through the Mennonite Disaster Services for different meetings and stuff to kind of talk about my experiences with that, as well as helping other involvements in other projects. So over the weeks and months following the tornadoes, okay, what are you doing? Are you going to read it for me? All right, go on. So over the weeks and months following the tornadoes, my house became the epicenter for over 100 volunteers that were signed up to MDS. So during that time frame, not only myself and my family, but also numerous strangers and stuff were helped within a several mile radius because of my location in that neighborhood. So when we moved there, who would have thought that I would have been a focal point? So it was nice to have people drive 4 hours away to come help clean up in our neighborhood. A lot of the Amish and Stauffer Mennonites, some of you were probably there when it came. It was very surreal to have little kids out there helping, as well as their parents and grown-ups. It was pretty neat. So since the cleanup and stuff is more or less shifted to a different direction for more of a long-term recovery process for those who were hit the hardest in the poorer areas of Trotwood and Dayton. So a lot of them did not even have insurance, which is kind of the unfortunate part of this. So we were fortunate enough to have insurance, but it's also a struggle for several months where it's more or less an inconvenience. So those who didn't have insurance or underinsured, they're having a tough time getting back on our feet. So that's where the Miami Valley long-term recovery efforts are coming into play, as well as MDS, the Brethren Disaster Ministry, and the Presbytery of Miami Valley. So they're all local churches and affiliations that are helping with donations, monetarily and volunteer efforts to kind of help with the rebuilding. The Brethren Disaster Ministries, they're actually in the process of rehabbing a home, and right next to that, they're actually building a brand new home. And this is all mostly is done through volunteer services as well as donations. They do have some financial assistance or federal assistance with some of the rebuilding, but there's been some hiccups. Some of that is cause of COVID. Of course, that deleted everything, but they're still dependent on donations. And their main focal point is, again, to set up permanent residences for people who are displaced, as far as the renters and the uninsured homeowners. So some of the organizations, they are heavily dependent on some of the local donations to assist these families to get back on their feet. So that's where MDS comes in, as well as the other local churches I just mentioned. MDS uses volunteers and donations, as I just mentioned, to help with cleanup rebuilding, whether it's for the flooded areas in Kentucky, West Virginia. Of course, Michigan has some flooding this past couple of years. There's wildfires in California that they're actually setting up, not a warehouse, but they're setting up a location in California to kind of assist with some of the ongoing rebuilding in Northern California. I think they had wildfires, last year, year before? But they're in the process of setting up camp out there more further west, so that way they have all their equipment as needed out there. Bless you. I want to show several videos, hopefully here in just a little bit. One is about the pathway to homeownership that Adam Blake is involved in. He's the vice president of County Corps. And another one should be about the disaster aid of Ohio from Kime Lumber in Millersburg. And hopefully Larry will be able to pull that up. So if you can do the pathway one first, if possible. These are about 5-6 minute long videos that kind of explain what's going on and kind of show what's happening. Hopefully, if we're able to pull it up. Maybe. It should be their first video with the pathway to homeownership.